Tansei. Hi, everybody. My name is Cathy Richardson, and I'm here with my colleague Shelly Dean. We're both directors at the Center for Response-Based Practice, and we're going to demonstrate an interview here. I'm going to use basically a response-based practice approach to exploring an issue with Shelley, something from her childhood, and then you could just pay attention to how dignity and acts of resistance and social responses come to play in this scenario. So, hi, Shelley.
Hi, Kathy.
Thank you for agreeing to let me have this conversation or interview with you today.
Yeah, of course.
I never know whether to call it an interview or a conversation because our approach is a bit directive. It's not just a free-flowing conversation, as people
hmm
will see. Um, but conversation sounds more friendly. So
Yeah,
hopefully
I guess it's both, isn't it?
a
Yeah,
bit of both, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So if it's okay with you, I'll
Hmm.
check in with you around some safety things, ask you to share about a time when you had to resist something that was being um, put on you, and
Hmm.
how you made meaning of that event now as an adult.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and anytime you can ask me to stop, if you want to take a breath or
hmm
if you feel done. And is there anything I can do that will like help this to be a positive, helpful experience for you?
I'll let you know. I think it's helpful to talk things through, and particularly as an adult reflecting back on something really significant as a child that, of course, you make different meaning of it now. And thinking about this conversation and what we might talk about, um, I was definitely thinking about things in our current times with some of the things that are going on in our world today, and then reflecting back on some of my own experiences. Yeah, I think it's important to talk about. And I don't know what this conversation will bring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you thought of something this morning that you'd like to explore together?
Yeah, I was thinking about an experience I had actually over a number of years, but an experience I had as a young person with a coach,
Okay.
and somebody who was very important to me,
Mhm.
but ultimately who harmed me in a very significant way. And I, of course, have known that all along. Um, but when you think back at his actions and how exactly he did that, I just think it's so important to think about when an adult wants to harm a child, how exactly do they go about it? And of course, we do know that a lot of adults place themselves in important positions
Mhm.
where they have access and they have trust and they have some kind of key into something that a child loves. And so, yeah, it's got me thinking a lot
Mhm.
about uh, both his actions and what I did.
Okay. So if we start with the background and the context, can you say a bit about, how old you were, where you were,
Yeah.
what was going on?
Yeah, I was very young. I was only 10. And I was very closely following Terry Fox and his run across Canada.
Mm,
And I wasn't particularly athletic at the time. I just was fascinated by him
mm,
and what he could do and the people who surrounded him. And it just really captured me.
mhm,
And I thought, well, if he can do that, I most certainly can.
mhm.
I have two legs, and I remember thinking that. And I just started running. Like I just and I loved it.
Uh,
And so I think I loved him. I'm not sure which was more, but regardless, I did. And there was a track coach in my school. I was only in grade 4 or 5, um, and I caught his attention because I was spending so much time running around this track after school. Like it was kind of ridiculous. But I caught his attention and he offered to run with me,
uh,
which seemed very special.
uh-huh. Interesting, hey, because I'm
Yeah.
gonna encourage you to keep talking, but I always pay attention to like when did that change? When did it stop feeling like safe and special? But please continue. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was great.
Yeah.
And, at the time, I only felt great about it. When I think back now, I think weird. Uh, but my parents sure thought it was great.
Uh-huh.
They thought, oh, what a wonderful man to be spending his own time. He's not getting paid for that.
Mm.
He's just doing it because he's dedicated. What a dedicated teacher
Yeah.
to be spending his own time with a kid like that.
Mhm.
And so there I was after school every day. And then it progressed to like not just running around the track for an hour, but like going out onto the road like real runners do.
Okay.
Not just a kid, but a real runner who goes for a run on a road.
Mhm.
That's how I saw it. And I wouldn't have been allowed to by myself. But because I had this track coach going with me, I was allowed. And so that was very important. And I'm still only 10,
Yeah.
and I was going like quite far.
Mhm.
And so that was very good. And then as I got a little bit older, a couple of grades higher, and able to go to actual track meets and stuff, of course, I won everything because I ran every day like that. And so then I started getting lots of good attention from my family and different people. And this is all very, very good.
Hmm. Can I just ask, so your parents, they were down with it from the beginning. They thought,
Oh,
wow,
yeah,
wonderful guy. Were there other
100%.
people around you, like in the school or other friends that commented on what was going on?
Oh yeah, yeah, sometimes, people would watch or yeah, it was a bit of a spectacle. Like it it was weird.
Uh-huh,
I was weirdly obsessed with it,
uh-huh.
and also incredibly intense for somebody that age. And I had a bit of I won't get into much to the whole running part of it, but I had a bit of, I was quite tall for my age, and had a bit of an upright running style, which I was told that you would be faster if you could get yourself to lean forward more. and
Okay.
I just couldn't do it. And so my dad built me a harness, which I tied to a tire, which I filled with rocks, which I pulled while running down the road. And that got me leaning forward. And I went for miles like that, pulling a tire full of rocks. And
Wow. Yeah.
yeah, so it was really not normal. It was quite intense. And I have this coach, and he's like, yep, this is what you do. This is how you do it. And so everybody, this is a bit, everybody's behind it. And I'm getting older now. I'm in grade six, grade seven. I'm winning all the track meets. Everybody's joyful, and so am I. I was very, very happy. I did play other sports, but really this was the thing. This is what I did. And um, he was very friendly.
Mhm.
That's how I would think of it. He was, he always had his arm around me and he would brush up against me.
Mhm.
And I wasn't comfortable with it, but I didn't say anything because it was just who he was. He was just a really friendly, affectionate guy.
Do you
And
remember, sorry, do you remember
yeah,
the moment when you first started feeling uncomfortable, like this is a bit too close or a bit too much?
yep, yep.
Yeah.
Um, I don't remember the moment, but I remember like I was in grade six. I'm
Hmm.
getting older now,
Yeah.
and I'm not in grade four anymore. I'm in grade six now. And your body's changing and you're growing up, and the other grade six girls were kind of whispering about him. And he had a bit of a reputation for being touchy around the girls.
Mm.
And I was very defensive of him,
Mm.
even though he was that way with me a lot. And but like I wouldn't tolerate any talk of like that of him because this was my whole world,
Yeah.
and I needed it, like I really really did. And plus, like, he was almost integrated into my family by then. My parents had him for dinner. Like,
Mhm.
he I don't know if he initiated that or they did, or regardless, they were all, and it was all around like my track career.
Mm.
That's what everybody was kind of gathered around.
Yeah.
And so I could not lose that.
Wow. So I'm thinking ahead here, but if I were a fly on the wall,
Yeah,
in those moments when you were feeling uncomfortable, but you would never say anything against him,
no,
might I notice in looking at you to show that you weren't completely comfortable?
just very subtle, like, you move slightly aside,
Okay.
right? Like, I certainly didn't move into it. I moved out of it
Uh-huh.
because you're just a little kid, and a grown man with his arm around you like that is really uncomfortable, especially because he's your buddy. Like, it's not something you should do. And and I knew that, like, and especially because my friends talked about him as being too touchy, and everybody's gaining this awareness of um boys and girls, and there's lots of chatter about that, and then and then they're talking about him as that, and it was really inappropriate.
Hmm. So you're also moving from preteen into
Mhm.
sort of adolescence and body changes, and like you said, all this conversation with the girls and friends about
Yeah,
your
giddy
sibling.
conversation about boys.
Uh-huh.
But then, they're like, oh, and then there's him.
Mm,
It didn't fit with the rest of the conversation.
right.
So I just didn't know quite what to do with it.
Uh-huh.
And so, yeah, I just remember I'm very pale skin. So I just remember always trying to control my blush.
Okay.
Like, I would just blush whenever it came up. Like, I just felt so embarrassed and so nervous um, but not wanting anyone to see that I was blushing. So you try and control it, but you can't.
Mhm.
And I just wanted it not to be the case. And I just wanted to do the track and field stuff and go for my runs, pull my tire, and not have this be a thing. And it was a thing. And so that carried on for quite a long time, like grade six, grade seven, kind of in through there.
Mhm.
And in fact, it got more because as I'm getting older, I was doing more. I was doing it, things are getting a little more advanced, and I was starting to compete at a higher level, provincially and stuff. And um, I had a bit, yeah, it just got more. And then I got somehow around 14, so this is still going on. And around 14, I got accepted into a track and field camp at Simon Fraser University, and it was for 17 and 18-year-olds. And I think he got me accepted into it. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I gave him credit for it anyway. And but it was at Simon Fraser University, and I didn't have anywhere to stay if I went there, and my parents couldn't afford it. And he offered that I could stay with him at his parents' place, and his parents would be away, so it would be really easy. And my parents were just so grateful, and so was I.
Uh-huh.
And because I could go to this week-long camp at a university, and I'm just a kid, like it just was such a big deal.
Yeah.
Imagine, imagine running for an entire week. Anyway, uh, yeah. I didn't occur to me to be nervous about that.
Mhm.
At least I don't remember being nervous about it.
Yeah.
I just remember being really excited that I would get to go.
Yeah, you think that sometimes that can override some of the other feelings and embarrassment that you were
Yeah,
experiencing at times. It's like, wow, this is like a lifetime dream.
it was. It was a lifetime dream at that point in my life.
Yeah.
That was like the biggest deal.
Yeah.
And my parents couldn't afford even the like camp itself, but they somehow did. Like it was a big deal for them to be able to send me there.
Mhm.
And so everyone kind of rallied together. My parents came up with the money for the camp. He came up with the accommodations. Um, I think my grandparents like figured out to get me there. Anyway, it was all a thing.
Mhm.
And everyone was just so happy because it was going to work.
No.
And when I think back now, like I was 14, this had been going on kind of since I was 10.
Mhm.
So this is 4 years in the making.
Yeah.
The trust building and the um, figuring out the key to a kid, right? Like, this is no small deal when you think of, well, if you're an adult who wants to hurt a kid, how do you go about it?
Mhm.
It's, it takes a bit of planning,
Yeah.
takes a bit of trust building.
Mhm.
And so, anyway, right. And so I think like, you as you would, we got there on a Sunday afternoon and the thing doesn't start till Monday.
Mhm.
And that I remember getting to the condo of his parents on a Sunday afternoon, and there's nobody there but him and I.
Uh-huh.
And I remember exactly walking in and thinking, fuck. But I probably didn't think that at that moment. I probably thought something a little lighter languaged, but um, I do remember that sinking feeling like, uh-oh. And he said, I have great news. I
Yeah.
have tickets to a Whitecaps game for us this afternoon. And I thought, okay, good. We don't have to stay here. And anyway, so we went to a Whitecaps game. And all I was thinking is that's really good because I don't want to stay here. This feels awkward.
Yeah.
And we went to a Whitecaps game, but we were a little bit early. And he said, well, we're in Vancouver and I need a new couch. So let's pop into a couple furniture stores and maybe you can help me pick out a couch. And in my head, I was thinking, I'm only 14. I don't know how to pick up a couch.
Right.
Anyway, so we wandered around furniture stores and he was asking me which one I liked and stuff. And I remember thinking, this feels weird. This feels like what couples do.
Yeah.
And we sat through the Whitecaps game, which was actually really cool because before the Whitecaps played, there was a Beach Boys concert
Oh, wow.
at BC Place. It was really cool, but I couldn't enjoy it because I felt like I was on a date.
Yeah. Hmm.
So I felt sick. I remember feeling sick and I remember feeling awkward and not knowing like how to act.
Yeah.
Like how am I supposed to act like this is fun? Because this isn't fun.
Mm.
I'm here with my teacher and my coach, and I shouldn't be. Like I remember feeling like I shouldn't be here. I should be here with my friends.
Yeah.
And he was acting like I was his date.
Yeah.
Anyway, um, I got through that day and I got through that night, and I went to Simon Fraser the next day, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
And I got back and I was really tired from running all day. And he suggested that we go to the pool in the apartment. And um, that's when he kind of made his move.
Mm.
And I felt this feeling in my stomach, like when you're about to get like diarrhea almost, like
Yeah.
like
Uh-huh.
everything's about to go wrong here.
Uh-huh.
And I just said, I have to go to the bathroom. And I did. And I just liken it to he scared the shit out of me. Like he scared,
Yeah.
I was so scared.
Mhm.
And it was almost like it was building for 4 years.
Yeah.
But especially since I arrived at that apartment, I knew the furniture, the Whitecaps game, the night before I didn't sleep.
Yeah.
And I knew that I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be here. And I came out of the bathroom and said, I'm sick. I have to phone my grandma.
Mhm.
And I was in New West. My grandma lived in Abbotsford at the time.
Uh-huh.
And she didn't really drive other than just around home.
Mhm.
And I phoned her and said, I need you to come and get me right now. I'm sick.
Yeah.
She said, okay. And she
Beautiful.
did. She
Mhm.
drove all the way to New West.
Yeah. So, at what moment in the process were you thinking of your grandma? Like, if I need her, she's there, or she might be an
I
ally,
didn't,
or
I
no,
didn't like,
ah,
except right in when I was
right
in
in
the
the moment.
bathroom,
Uh-huh.
I knew that I have to get out of here now.
Yeah.
And I guess I didn't think of her because, like, I guess, you think about what is family privilege, right?
Hmm.
And it's the privilege of having family that you don't have to question.
Right.
You don't have to question it. You
Uh-huh.
don't have to wonder if I phone, will they come? And you don't have to explain why.
Uh-huh.
You heard it in my voice.
Yeah.
We never talked about that. I didn't tell her when she got there what happened.
Hmm.
And she just turned 100, and I told her what about that when she was 99 years old.
Oh, oh my.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did she
I
respond?
told her what.
Yeah.
Well, I said, do you remember when I phoned when I was 14 years old and you didn't drive and you came all the way to New West? And
Yeah.
she said, are you sure I drove to New West? I said, I'm positive.
Yeah.
And she said, well, good. And she said, what kind of a man does that to a child?
Mhm.
And I said, right? I know. And she said, thank you for phoning me.
Oh.
I know we cried. I cried. I just couldn't believe she's 99 years old and what a response.
Yeah. So even at that age, you had a lot of awareness and critical analysis, and you were feeling issues of safety and
Mhm.
danger in your body. At what point did you put it together? Like, he's a perpetrator. He did this, then he did this, then he's isolating me from others, getting me alone in another city. When did you put that all together?
I don't know. I don't know if I did at that time. I
Uh-huh.
think at that time I still, well, I guess I did. You know, I probably wanted to think he really wanted me to go to that
Yeah.
track camp. Um, and he was taking advantage of the fact that I did and that he had me isolated. But when I think of it now, I think he didn't give a shit about Simon Fraser track camp. I don't think he cared at all.
Yeah.
Uh, it was purely an opportunity.
Uh-huh.
So at the time, I think I realized it was an opportunity and he cared about the track camp. I
Uh-huh.
don't think I was really ready to think he didn't. But yeah, I think I knew all along because of the whispering of all the other girls
Mhm.
and my own experiences. I think I knew just be a bit careful around this guy.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I was being careful around him, but I wasn't um I wasn't at a point of, I'm just not gonna be around him.
Yeah.
Like I was so invested in his investment in me.
Hmm. No, I understand. It was so important to you. And I'm thinking back on the moment when you said you were blushing, and I imagined your face turning red, and I
Yeah.
imagined that like a red light. Like, what do you think was going on? What was that blushing trying to tell you or other people?
That's a great question. I think if I were to think about it now, like what were they saying in that moment when my
Huh.
face would go red? I think it would be like I know and I don't want to know.
Right.
Like, that's what I think it was. Is like, don't talk about this. We're not to talk about this.
You weren't ready to have your dream crushed by the
No,
reality of his potential violence there.
no,
Uh-huh.
no. And it was. It really was because I didn't obviously I went to one day of that track camp, the Monday,
Hmm.
and I left. I didn't go to the rest
Hmm.
because I couldn't. I didn't have anywhere to stay.
Right.
And I didn't get coached by him anymore. I
Okay.
stayed in track and field, but I had different coaches and it was just never the same, honestly. And like it really matters who's invested in you and
Uh,
how much time they put in. And anyway, all that really does matter. And um, so, yeah, um, yeah, and I knew that it would change
yeah.
for me. And like I knew the whole thing would change.
Hmm. So the cost of revealing what was going on there was big for
I
you.
didn't reveal it.
Yeah.
I didn't tell anybody. And I think I was pretty scared of what would happen if I did tell to
Hmm.
him. And I was also like I left the scene for the bathroom before he got too far.
Yeah.
And so then I also wondered, well, what would I say
Hmm.
that he did?
Yeah.
Like, he had me pinned and he had his mouth was right over my mouth. Like, you know what's about to happen.
Yeah.
You absolutely know what's about to happen. And I kind of squirmed out from under him.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm very happy that I did that and that he let me.
Yeah.
He was clearly not a person who was willing to use force
Hmm.
against a child. He was using manipulation and he used it carefully over and he took his time.
Yeah.
And then when I squirmed away, he did let me.
Hmm.
So,
So did your parents ever find out that you didn't finish the camp or?
yeah, I told them I was sick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I needed my grandma to get me.
Right.
So it was all a big disappointment for everybody that I got sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But understandable, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I imagine there are a number of us who've gotten sick at really convenient moments, right?
Yeah. Yeah, if you could map that, how many girls get sick compared to boys?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to this day, how many people have you told about this?
Oh, not that many. Like my parents know.
Okay.
And my grandma found out last year.
When she was
Not
98,
99.
99.
Yeah.
Wow. And
Yeah.
when did you tell your parents and how did that go?
Oh, my parents were mortified because, of course, they fell into the trap too.
Mhm.
Yeah. You know, as a parent, that'd be the most awful thing to think, that you brought someone into your life who was hurting your child.
Yeah, more than falling, they were sort of gently pushed into the trap, weren't they?
Yeah, right.
Cunning and
Well, they quite embraced him
hmm. Yeah,
at his insistence.
right. Right.
Yeah.
So as an adult now, when you see what's going on in the world around us with lots of young girls and young women coming out and talking about what's been done to them,
Yeah.
especially when they were in careers that really mattered to them, when they were trying to. you know?
Yeah, well, that's what made me think about talking about this with you today, is because I've been following the release of the Epstein files so carefully and listening to so many interviews with victims of Jeffrey Epstein, and also listening to, unfortunately, so many criticisms against those young girls. People saying things like, well, it's not like he held them captive. They could have walked away, they could have gone home, they could have done all kinds of things. And I think what people don't necessarily understand about the tactics of somebody like that is, first they find the key to the thing they love the most or the thing they need the most.
Mhm.
And that is clearly what he did.
Mhm.
They wanted to be an actor, they wanted to be a massage therapist, or they needed money because they were living on the streets or something. There was something each one of them describes that he found and then he exploited. And it's just a very common tactic. Um, and then they are very hesitant to let go of that. By the time the violence really is kind of revealing itself, like by the or he's revealing himself as violent, um, they they are so committed to the thing that he's also offering or
Yeah.
saying he's offering. That's what had me thinking about that experience when I was so young.
Mm-hmm.
It's not on the same level, obviously, but I think the tactics are very similar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with such manipulation and persuasion over time,
Hmm.
it's really understandable why you have to navigate out of there so carefully and cautiously and, cunningly.
Yeah, and you're confused by it
Mm-hmm.
because it'd be much easier to run into a stranger who grabs you and gags you and hurts you. And, there's just none of the other feelings connected. It would just be straightforward.
Yeah.
But of course, it's not like that.
Mm-hmm.
And not at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are just so many elements of protecting the person and protecting yourself and protecting the thing that you love so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And also us protecting my parents in all of it. And I knew that they would be really, really upset
Yeah.
by what he did to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want them to be upset. So there's all of that.
Yeah. So I guess just a final kind of question. How did you negotiate the exit from him as coach once you got back, to school and back to your community?
Um, I did it quite, I think I did it quite well. I didn't let on to him that there was a problem with him.
Mhm.
And I think at the time, wanted him to not worry. And I told him that I was going to take a bit of a break from all the running,
Yeah.
which, given how much I was running, was understandable. I needed to focus on school
Yeah.
um, and I wanted to play basketball. I wanted to do some of the other sports also.
Yeah.
And by then I was in grade 9, going into grade 9. And I just said, I just want to do some other things and not do this so much.
Why
And
was
he was very quick to agree. So
okay?
that's the other thing that I think, oh, yeah, I bet you were.
So, how is it that it was so important for you to negotiate that departure very gracefully and in a dignified way that
Mm.
wouldn't alarm him too much?
That's a good question as well. You know, um, I think there's a few things. One is the second I got into my grandma's car and I was safe,
Uh-huh.
um, I knew like we're done. I'm done. I never have to feel that again. I never have to be around him again,
Mhm.
and I never will.
Yeah.
Like I knew that.
Mhm.
And I just remember that relief of, okay, I'm done. And I don't want to alert him
Okay.
to anything because I actually didn't know if like what would happen if I did. Like I didn't want to make a big deal of it.
Yeah.
I didn't understand systems. I didn't understand what would happen if you reported somebody or I thought he'd go to jail right away.
Right.
That was my naive thought is he will go to jail for this
Good
if I
thought.
tell him.
Yeah.
I know. Wouldn't that be great?
Uh,
But I did think that and I don't think I wanted that
no.
like at the time. And I just wanted to never be in that situation. And I also naively thought I was probably the only person that he had ever done anything like that to.
Mm.
And so, um, yeah, um, I just kind of figured out this way of,
Mm.
uh, I dropped by his school because obviously didn't go to his school anymore. I was in high school by then. With a friend of mine. I didn't go alone and had a visit with him because we would do that sometimes, like just drop by. And that's when I let him know that I was done with him,
Yeah.
basically.
So you were kind of performing normalcy, like
Yeah.
there's no reason to put a target on my back. I'm just slipping away, and you can shine your light on some other situation or
Hmm.
person. Uh, and I noticed that you had a few times described yourself as being naive, and yet you knew all this stuff in your body. You were making uh, really astute safety decisions. You were navigating adult, entrapment, violence, and yeah, you knew certain things already. You might not have known how the court system works, but you knew that things
Yeah.
didn't feel right for you know, grade 8 girl to be at a concert with a teacher.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. So, yeah, definitely naive in the ways of, I'd say in the ways of the world and the systems. I didn't know anything about that. But as far as my own self and how I felt about what he was doing, I think I was pretty tuned into it. And I also got pretty tuned in when I started working in this field in a community-based organization in a not that big of a town. And it took no time at all before I met with grade 4, grade 5 girls who were in his class.
Okay.
So I never did report him, but I did. get to meet with, I don't know, probably half a dozen young girls who were in his class
Mhm,
over the time that in my early part of my career.
mhm.
And I asked a lot of questions that I probably wouldn't have asked otherwise,
Uh-huh.
just around safety and, you know, the whispering of girls that, and I didn't get anything from them that I thought was concerning or, but he would have been much older by then.
Sounds like you learned to look out for the safety of young girls with predatory men and their education.
Yeah, I think it's always been a concern for sure.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so Shelley, what was it like, to have this exploration together to talk about these things?
Oh, I think it's really good. Yeah, I think it's really good, especially just given what's going on in the world right now. I think the more conversations like this
Mhm.
that more of us are having, the better.
Yeah,
Because I do not think this is a unique experience for many women.
yeah,
And and that's very sad. But it's important that, well, um, the stereotypes are addressed, um, and the myths that are out there are addressed, and um, that we are talking about it more openly so that the young girls who are experiencing these kinds of things still feel more able to say something when it's happening. I mean, there just felt like so many reasons why I wouldn't say something.
yeah. Is that like to understand that to consent to running and working with a coach is one form of consent, but it doesn't mean you consented to any other kind of
Yeah.
romantic or sexualized or violent interaction.
Yeah, just like we always say, like as a kid, you can't. It's not even possible. Didn't even know
Yeah,
what was happening. Like, what are you even doing?
yeah, yeah.
And I remember so clearly being in that furniture store, like, you're asking my opinion on a couch? I'm a kid. I don't have an opinion on a couch. Like,
It's just old
that's
person
so
stuff.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
And if I can't have an opinion on a couch, I certainly I can't consent to anything sexual.
No.
Like that just points it out to me so clearly.
Yeah.
And I just remember being thinking, that's a really stupid thing to ask a 14-year-old.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Well, yeah, thank you so much. I think it's really important to have these conversations.
Mhm.
This kind of thing is something that is going on and harms a lot of young people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking the time for the conversation.
Yeah. And thanks everyone for listening. And
Thank you.
yeah, hold this in your heart and the care for, young people everywhere.